Listening, Section 2. Extract 3. Questions 14 to 16.
Welcome to the City Art Gallery and to our gallery audio tour. The gallery was first established in 1875 and is now one of the city's most popular attractions. The building has undergone a number of changes over the years, the most recent addition being the extension on the ground floor, which was opened in 1988. The gallery houses some of the finest works of art in Australia, including Aboriginal, European and Asian paintings. There is a comprehensive Australian collection, which includes works from the early colonial period to the present day. In addition to the paintings on display, we have an excellent collection of photography, with photographs dating from the 19th century. As well as the permanent collection, which you will see throughout the building, the Art Gallery has a varied and exciting exhibition program, with approximately 30 changing exhibitions each year. Many of these exhibitions are accompanied by films and lectures, or occasionally by concerts. Now, let's begin our tour in the 19th century Australian Room.
Unit 4. Crime and Punishment. Listening. 4.1. You will hear a businesswoman reporting the theft of her briefcase.
Yes, madam.
Hello. Good morning, officer. I'd like to report a crime, a theft. My briefcase has been stolen. It's a black one. It's really important I get it back.
4.2.
It's really important I get it back. It had all sorts of things in it. My mobile phone, some pens, a calculator. But the most important thing was some documents. A report for a client, the one I was going to meet. I must get that report back. It's extremely important.
4.5.
I really don't understand how it could have happened. Honestly, I only left the car for about 5 minutes.
4.8. Now you have some time to look at questions 6 to 10. Now listen to the rest of the report and answer questions 6 to 10.
As I say, unfortunately we have had very few leads on this case. However, a witness who lives opposite the museum has been able to give us some information about who may have been involved. Now, this lady was woken up at around 3 a.m. on the night in question by loud music directly outside her window. On looking out of her window, she saw a man sitting in the front of a van, shouting, singing. Now, this man is described as having a big white beard. The witness said he looked a bit like Father Christmas. As for the van, no positive ID on the make as yet, but the witness described it as blue or green. So, were you in the area of the museum late on Saturday night? Did you see anything suspicious? If so, please help us put these precious items back where they belong, and these criminals in prison. If you have any information, please call the police now on the free hotline. That's 0800 666 000. 0800 666 000. That's it from me. Till the same time next week. Evening all.
Our thanks to Inspector Holland there. You're listening to County FM. We'll be right back after this.
Unit 1, page 13. Exam Listening. Section 2. You will hear part of an introductory talk about a library. Listen and answer questions 11 to 15.
Good morning. My name is Mandy, and I am going to tell you a little about the John R. Jones Memorial Library here at Blackwater College. We regard the library as a gateway to the resources that you, as students at the college, may need. The majority of you are full-time students. You may find you spend a lot of time here. Even those of you who are part-time students will no doubt require the services too. I hope that by the end of this short talk you will know the services the library has to offer, including the website and how to get any further help you may need. Oh, sorry, I forgot there may be a few distance learners on the tour today. I'll explain about the online facilities and borrowing by post scheme a little later on. This is the main site of the library, but we also have the Rivergate building and the Fieldhouse Library. The Rivergate building houses the geography resources, that is the book collection and the journal collection, as well as the map collection. The hours and days of opening of the Rivergate collection are the same as this building, except that it is closed on Christmas Day and New Year's Day. The Fieldhouse Library contains a specialist collection of local history, and if you want to visit it, you will need to make an appointment. Those two facilities are the only exceptions to the rule that all the Blackwater College libraries are open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. However, to gain access to the facilities, you must have your ID card. No ID card, no entry. We have heard all the stories and excuses, and we don't accept any of them. Just remember your ID card.
Unit 1, page 13. Exam listening. Now answer questions 16 to 20.
Now, I must apologise for the mess you can see around you today. Libraries should be quiet places, but unfortunately this is not currently the case here. This new building has been here for only 2 months, and as a result we have not quite finished moving in. So far, we have moved most of the book and journal collections from the old library into this new building. There are 2 exceptions. We are currently moving the economics collection here, which should be installed by tomorrow, and we will be moving the French literature collection into this building next week. But as you can see, we are still building the new restaurant. We will finish it, we hope, very shortly. We have finished the cafe, however, and students can use it during the library opening hours. We have recently installed 150 computer places, and we will be adding another 100 shortly, so that there will be plenty for everybody very soon. Very shortly, this library will be one of the finest in this part of the country. Don't forget that the library isn't just about academic books. In addition to the books and journals, there is a wide range of national newspapers available from the librarians on request. I'd like to mention the different ways you can get help in using our resources. Don't forget our website at www.mlbc.ac.uk. There are the full catalogues, and journal access is available if you have your password and ID number. Now, any questions?
Now turn to section 2. Listening, section 2. You will hear an extract from a radio programme about a famous bridge. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 18. Now listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 18.
The Sydney Harbour Bridge is nearly 3/4 of a century old, and to help celebrate this important occasion, our reporter Sarah Chambers has compiled this brief history of her favourite bridge.
A bridge is more than just a crossing over a river or a waterway. It is a landmark in its own right. A landmark which allows us to identify one city from another. Think, for instance, of the Bridge of Sighs in Venice, or the magnificent Charles Bridge in Prague. Each of these cities can be recognized by their famous bridges. The Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco is another example of a city known by its bridge. But in addition to this, a bridge is a kind of ornament for a city, similar, if you like, to a cathedral or a palace. Here in Sydney, we may not have our own palace, but we do have our famous and much-loved bridge, the Sydney Harbour Bridge, which is sometimes affectionately known as the coat hanger because of its arched shape. It was built back in the 1930s, and so the bridge is coming up for a significant birthday. Let's have a little look at its history. Although the idea of building a crossing over Sydney Harbour had been discussed many years earlier, it wasn't until the year 1916 that the state government agreed to allocate some money for the construction of a bridge. The chief engineer for the bridge was a man called Dr. John Bradfield, a brilliant engineer who supervised the entire project from beginning to end. First, they had to decide on a design, so he organised an international competition to choose a design, and ultimately got the one he wanted. The job went to a British engineering firm, and the contract was signed in 1924. The design he chose was the single arch bridge that you see today, made of steel with a tower at either end. In 1926, construction finally began. The first thing they had to do was demolish 800 houses around the site where the towers were to be built. The poor families, however, never received any compensation for this. But the project created thousands of jobs, much needed in those difficult times. Of course, like all projects of this size, it took much longer to build than originally planned. It was supposed to have been finished by 1930, but actually it wasn't completed for another 2 years. It also cost twice as much as the original quote, coming in at £9.5 million instead of the agreed contract price of £4.2 million. But what's new? The opening ceremony took place on the 19th of March 1932, and a large crowd gathered for the occasion. The Premier of the state was just about to cut the ribbon when suddenly a man rode through the crowd mounted on a horse and slashed the ribbon with his sword. He wanted to be the first to cut the ribbon. Anyway, they tied the ribbon back together and the ceremony continued. The man on the horse was fined £5 for his offensive behaviour.
Before you hear the rest of the talk, you have some time to look at questions 19 and 20. Now listen and answer questions 19 and 20.
Since then, millions of cars have crossed the bridge, each paying a toll to do so. By the early 1980s, the government had paid off the loan for the money they'd borrowed all those years before. But motorists continued to pay to cross from north to south. This money was subsequently used to build a tunnel under the harbour to reduce the amount of traffic on the bridge. The tunnel was opened in 1992 and cost $544 million. It is 2.3 kilometres long and is equipped with all the latest technology, including closed-circuit television to monitor any problems. And it has most definitely reduced the load on the bridge, as it carries around 75,000 vehicles each day, which would otherwise have to use the bridge. And it's apparently strong enough to withstand the impact of a ship or even the impact of an earthquake. The tunnel has been a welcome solution to Sydney's traffic problems, but of course, a tunnel could never compete with a bridge as a landmark for any city. So let's wish the bridge a very happy birthday.
That is the end of section 2. You now have half a minute to check your answers.